Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I'd like to start by saying thank you so much for your patience throughout our technical difficulties over the last hour. I really appreciate all of you for coming and taking the time out of your day to still be here, because the upcoming panel is definitely one worth waiting for. And I'm very excited to announce it. So please take your seats. I hope you had a good lunch break. So we will be discussing female leadership in artificial intelligence. And I want to start by inviting our esteemed panelists to the stage. Ms. Seda Papoyan, founder and CEO at Femino, I guess. Ms. Agnes Flamal, CEO of WSL, the first high-tech technology incubator in Europe. And Ms. Antonella Bertazzo, international broker analyst. Ms. Letitia Bertrand, president of King's Arc Global Consulting. Ms. Frances West, author and founder of Frances West & Co. Ms. Anoush Arshakian, creative content developer and lead of Fabricademy program at Fab Lab Armenia. And our moderator, Dr. Madeline Minasian, Senior Director and Global Head of Learning and Development at PixArt. Welcome.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for your patience. I know that we've had some challenges today, and I hope that you have used the extra time to make a friend or learn something new. My name is Madeline, and I'm very honored to host this panel today because I am on the stage with brilliance. I have had a chance to cyberstalk or research each one of my panelists, and I'm really looking forward to the insightful conversation that we will be having. Half of our world's population is female. It's no secret. Yet the creators behind our most transformative technologies do not always reflect that reality. When we shape AI, we shape the lives of billions of people. And to truly serve a diverse and inclusive global community, the perspectives of smart women are indispensable, not only as an afterthought or a quota, but as core contributors and creators of today and tomorrow. I'm joined by women who, through their roles, are at the forefront of AI innovation. Together, over the next 45 minutes, we will explore how the unique roles and insights of these women can guide the creation of AI that serves humanity both ethically and effectively. So before we begin, I would like to ask my panel to briefly introduce themselves to you in about 1 minute and share with you their expertise within this topic. Frances, can we begin with you?
Sure. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be on this panel. My name is Frances West. I'm the founder of Frances West & Co. We are in a global strategy advisory company working with both private and public sectors on digital inclusion. This is based on my 30-plus year work at IBM, realizing from early on as a technology company that we need to make sure that technology is inclusive, especially for not just women, but for people with disabilities and aging. So part of my work nowadays is really working with all these different institutions, including, for example, United Nations, on setting the right policy for digital inclusion.
Wonderful, thank you. Anoush.
Hello, thank you for this great opportunity to be here. Starting from the morning, I had in my head the song of Patti Smith, People is the Power. And now I'm looking at you and I see this here, this power creating everything, almost everything, like we said in the Fab Lab. I am presenting Fab Lab Armenia Education Foundation, a space of transformation from bits to atoms, from data to creating a physical object. My role there is to merge the art with the technology and with digital fabrication, and also empower the artists to use the AI in their work to create the artwork which has their own behavior. And also, I'm leading the program of Fabricademy. This is educational program which merge the digital fabrication with the textile and the biology. Not only working with the already existing materials, but has the power to create new materials, the sustainable, which has our own identity.
Thank you. Antonella.
I work for an analyst in the Netherlands. We're one of the leading brokers in Europe. And 2 years ago, we decided to implement AI tools in our systems. And I was lucky enough to be at the forefront of this and to make sure that we complied also with financial regulations. And although I don't have as much experience as other women on this panel, I'm very grateful to be here to share stories and to learn.
Wonderful. And just like Anush, Seda is also based in Armenia, and very excited to have Seda, who has been at the forefront of women in tech. But I'll let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Madeleine. It is a pleasure to be on a panel run by you for I don't know which time now. And I'm super excited as a local, as you mentioned, to host everyone here with their expertise shared here for everyone to learn from. So I am the founder of a platform which is called Femino. That's we mix the words female and innovation. And for several years now, we try to work on three main pillars: engaging, educating, and empowering women into technology. And when it comes to technology, of course, we cannot skip or pass AI growing so much these days in particular. And I'm super happy that we managed to integrate AI education now, not only for girls, but also for everyone at schools in Armenia. And as our role empowering women and girls into technology, we are now into developing practical and efficient ways to use AI for growth and development.
Wonderful. Leticia, I would love for the audience to get to know you.
I am president of King's Arch Global. I'm also chairwoman for AI for Africa Empowerment. So the first company is based in the United States, and what we do is consulting on AI. And then the other company, which is AI for Africa Empowerment, is about empowering communities to utilize the strengths of AI in building economies and reducing the gaps that exist. So I'm also currently at the University of Oxford studying AI for business, and it's been very impactful being a part of the Oxford family. It's opened up opportunities for me to be able to spread this awareness. My goal is to reach 100 million people, to just teach them how they could use AI to improve their lives. I'm happy to be here. Not happy, I'm thrilled to be here. It's my first time in Armenia, and I don't know why it's taking me so long to come here to this part of the world, but I'll be back, and I'm looking forward to this panel.
Great, and between our live audience and the recording, I hope you inch thousands more towards this goal today. Wonderful. I would like to now ask Agnes to introduce herself to the audience.
Yes, with pleasure. My name is Agnès Flemal. I'm coming from Belgium. I've launched 24 years ago the first technology incubator in Europe. And now we are not only an incubator, but a global support for tech entrepreneurs. It means in deep tech technologies today, so it's aerospace, it's EA, it's microtech, is everything you can imagine, like medical devices and so on. IA is, of course, transversal sector of each of these sectors, and it's quite important. Unfortunately for me, we only have 20% of women as CEO and founders in technology startups, and I'm working hard to change and to move on that because I was myself entrepreneur and I'm myself engineer in IA. So I'm very pleased to share my experience today.
Wonderful. And I think I will crisscross back that way and ask you the first question. So Agnes, John, you know we have John in Armenia, it means dear. After we say a name, we say the word John, which means that you are special to me. And so I will, because we are a sisterhood on this stage today, I will refer to you all as John. So Agnes John, you've championed international collaborations and cross-border innovation throughout your career. How can AI be used to break down not just the geographical, but the gender-based barriers in research and in technology? Could you discuss any initiatives that you've been part of that successfully used AI to create a more inclusive environment for female researchers and innovators?
My experience is close to university sectors because we are working very closely with all the engineering university in the French part of Belgium, and we have launched a student incubator which is called StarTech, in which we are trying to include most women possible and students. And more than that, what we are trying to do with StarTech is to say, please, girls, go to the STEM studies, because if you become engineer, you won't go necessarily to big companies. You can launch your own startup. You can use AI to be another woman and to have a career which you can't have otherwise. And IA for us is very important because they can start new projects during the studies and become entrepreneurs and be mentored by other women entrepreneurs. It's very important for us because it's always a question of education and culture. Because in the family today, sometimes you always find parents who say, why STEM? It's not for girls. So it's a very, very long way. I am in the last part of the way, but I'm trying to do the job.
Wonderful. Seda, I'm sure that this resonated with you as you were listening. And I'm sure that you have had extensive experience with some of what Agnes spoke about, including mentorship and breaking the divide, and also using AI as an assistant or an accelerator. So given your extensive experience in fostering entrepreneurship and innovation, what role can AI play in nurturing the next generation of female entrepreneurs, founders? Could you share any insights on how AI could be integrated into the entrepreneurial ecosystem to provide more equitable access, resources, mentorship, and funding for our women?
Sure. Thank you, Madeleine. When we talk about the engagement of and the active engagement of women in technology, and particularly in AI, I'm first very happy to be and live and put enough effort in a country where we are proud to announce that one of the rare countries in the world having about 40% women engaged in the sector, which relates to AI and data science in general as well, because there are more and more young girls going into data science, machine learning faculties in the universities. So when it comes to how AI can empower these women, especially when it comes to leadership, I have picked a couple of very important kind of benefits which AI brings for women. First of all, it's the open access to quality knowledge and resources. So this is something for everyone, every woman, like everyone, but when it comes to women, particularly with lower opportunities, lack of access to quality education, AI is there to open up the endless potential of quality knowledge and resources to use wherever they want in their growth and leadership journey, right? Secondly, the same applies to mentorship opportunities. When it comes to different mentorship platforms, there are more and more chances that women can get those mentors which would boost their career better than when it comes to different people or human-matched mentor-mentee groups, right? And when we talk about the leadership journey overall and female founders in particularly, I mean, we as an organization follow the difficulties, especially in Armenia, but not only, of female founders in technology. And AI, with different platforms like AI-boosted, AI-driven platforms are there, first to enhance the leadership journey of female founders at very early stages, regardless where they are in terms of geography. And even if lack of resources is still there, they have a very easy opportunity to automate a number of early stage basic processes like sales, marketing, support, operational stuff through AI tools that are already there available, like spending very little on that compared to, let's say, 5 years ago when we had to spend a lot on that. On the other hand, it is very important to mention that the gender gap in investment processes is still there, and AI could bring a new layer in trying to overcome that bias in investment processes, because when investors rely on a number of AI platforms to make data-driven decisions, there are not gender biases. There is data, there is the quality of the startup there, and there we have better opportunities for female founders to get funded.
Wonderful. And I am going to tap Leticia into your experience in global leadership consulting on this front and ask you about a little bit of what Seda talked about and more on strategies that the organizations that you work with, for example, can adopt to ensure that AI is used for empowerment rather than for inclusion for women and exclusion, for women in leadership. How can companies balance the rapid adoption of AI with that need to safeguard diversity in decision-making and strategic roles, and in breaking that glass ceiling even further?
Thank you, Madeline, for that question. That is actually a crucial element of what I do. And I'll share one story about how myself and my cohort were asked to do a walkabout in the city of Oxford to ask people what they knew about artificial intelligence. And that was a big eye-opener for us, because we realized that not too many people were aware about the full scope of artificial intelligence, even in the amazing, brilliant city of Oxford. And also in several other countries around the world, there is still a gap. Not to mention places in Africa where there are immense opportunities that are waiting to be explored. My first strategy for addressing this gap is to ensure that there is an awareness of what is needed to build a robust AI ecosystem. It takes a whole village, a whole city to get it going. So when I speak to my clients, they're usually in groups, a lot of people, I usually advise them as a strategy to involve the government for sure. Involve the government, the lawmakers, those who are in charge of placing the rules, that will determine what goes on in the boardroom. And then you come to the boardroom scenario and the encapsulation or the dynamics or who makes up the boardroom. It has to be a combination of IT. So in some instances, you talk about STEM, and some people add A to that acronym. So STEAM. And the A is for arts. There needs to be creative minds in the room when you're talking about building a solid artificial intelligence ecosystem. And for a lot of women in these countries that I concentrate on at this time, there is a gap in the area of science, technology, even in art, in mathematics. So those are the root areas that need to be spotlighted. So organizations that are trying to build a robust AI ecosystem can't just build it just from the air. They have to go and talk to the government and collaborate with them, collaborate with other departments, and then also begin to cultivate talents from the grassroots. I've advocated for them to go to schools like secondary schools or advanced level schools and even primary schools to begin to cultivate talent there, build on the skills that are needed for future engagement and involvement in the boardroom. The other part of the question has to do with making sure that you have diversity in building AI ecosystems. And women, for so long, have been underrepresented. So that's why I'm really happy that we have this panel talking about women leadership or female leadership in artificial intelligence, because there need to be more involvement for women in these boardrooms. So many times I go out to places where I'm speaking and I go with my husband who's sitting in the audience over there. And the response usually is directed towards him, and then I have to redirect and say, I am the speaker. I am the speaker. So that's my take on that, and I'll let the rest of the panel give their take as well.
Thank you. And when we look at issues of equity, diversity, inclusion, belonging, what we often fail to address many times is our intersectional identities. Our identities as women, but sometimes our intersectional identities of being, for example, women and having different abilities. And so Frances has spent her career as a strong advocate for not only inclusive, but also accessible design within technology. And I'd like to ask you to expand this conversation that we began about diversity in talking about how AI can contribute to creating leadership opportunities more accessible to women who might face additional barriers due to disability or other factors. And if you could illustrate an example of how AI has been used to both champion gender equity and accessibility. I think this is a fascinating area of intersectional opportunity.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. So as this is my first trip to Armenia too, and as I was watching some documentary about this country, and you think about this is a very ancient country, and which reminded me, if you look at the history of the humanity, we went from like the kind of hunter and gathering society to agricultural society, and fast forward, we are now into what we call the knowledge society. I mean, in the old days, if you're a hunter or a gatherer, you need a lot of brute strength, right? Which men tends to dominate. But in a knowledge society, women, if you have the brains, you can compete. And then in the context of AI as a technology, I think for the first time, It is a technology that's going to be, is already ubiquitous and everywhere. But from the design thinking perspective, this is a kind of technology that really needs holistic kind of thinking and design from the get-go. And I think women, by nature, we think holistically. I was talking to a young woman in the lobby that a lot of times women, maybe because we are, we have children bearing responsibilities, we don't think about tasks just at hand, but we anticipate, right? We think, strategically. And these are actually absolutely core ingredients when you design and engage in new technology like AI. And so I think it's not an accident. If you look at today, one of the leading authority of AI is Dr. Fei Li, based in Stanford University. And she is the one that really created this technology that can take image and translate into digitized image recognition. And she just recently started a new venture called the World Lab, where she is thinking about how to take AI technology from two-dimensional, which is the text and image, to three-dimensional. Because in her way of thinking, if AI is truly going to represent human, it needs to understand the spatial relationship, because women, we major in relationship. So this is a great example of how just being a woman, I think, give her that extra knowledge and intuition of where we need to go. Another example is a user example. I work with a startup company called Personal AI, and here we talked about large language model. There is an emergence of a simple or a small language model, which is about me. So I own my data, and for those of you who are interested, if you go on my LinkedIn website, you will see my Personal AI created based on my knowledge and from my book and from my writings and all that. But anyway, one of the first use cases is by this blind chef. Her name is Christina Cha. So she's a blind chef, and obviously as a chef, you want people to know about your recipe to cook. So she used Personal AI as an extension of herself. So you can query the virtual chef and ask how she makes certain dishes. So this is a usage case, and she's one of the first adopters of this kind of technology. So these are two examples. One is a creator, inventor of AI technology. Another is a user of a technology. I think both to show the kind of the creativity, curiosity of women in this field. And then that's why I'm just so enthusiastic and also very motivated to continue to do this work, especially for the next generation of women leaders.
Yes, and I want to encourage you to really take the time and go to the WCIT2024 website and get to know our speakers through their biographies. I did so the other day, and the wealth of knowledge and the links that I navigated through really did give me additional insight. You're getting some golden nuggets today, but I would encourage you to learn more. And with this, I'm going to Anush. Anush, your work has consistently bridged education, technology, and art. In what ways can AI-driven educational platforms be leveraged to close the gender gap in tech and in leadership? Are there specific AI tools or projects that you've seen that have made a significant impact in providing women and girls the opportunities to access STEM education?
Thank you for the question. And thank you, Madeleine and Francis, for starting talking about the identities. I think each of us has double identity today. We have physical identity and virtual, digital identity. We are living in the two worlds in the same time. And also, we are creating those worlds. We are creating the fashion. We are creating us in the metaverse and in different virtual spaces. And when we started to create AI, we needed to give the data to AI. And we gave a lot of data and information to AI. And somehow we were feeding the imagination of AI. But nowadays, AI is feeding our imagination. It starts to generate the things, and we became the user of this product. And we forgot that we are the creators, and we need to continue to generate, because the AI is always data hungry. And FabLab is the exceptional platform and a place for the people, for the creators, who are the dreamers and makers in the same time, and who can create the data to continue feeding the AI. And I said before that this is the platform of transformation to go from the data to the physical object, but this is also transformative for people, to become from Homo ludens, someone who is playing with AI, to become a Homo faber, someone who uses the AI power to create his own tools. And in this case, when we were talking about the textile and STEM education, I want to add the A, the STEM, because art is so important in this field. And sometimes you start to play with the art, you are Homo ludens, and you are becoming a Homo faber to create your own instruments, your own machines. And as I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned, so FabLab is, the idea is the creation of MIT, of the Center of Bits and Atoms. And the MIT professor Neil Gershenfeld, who is the founder of the Fab Labs and Fab Academy, the educational program, he mentioned 3 stages of digital fabrication. The first one is the computer-controlled machining. The second one, the machines which create machines. And the third one is to make the material and to program, to code the material directly. In this case, if we are talking about our educational programs, about Fab Academy, we are going in this direction. We are taking this path to make the things, to create our own materials. And in this case, the AI can be the very powerful tool, not only creating the patterns for textile or other things, but also to create the recipes for the new materials, to generate the data for create our own tools, our own materials to play with.
And, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, at your organization, what percentage females do you have within the company?
Yes. And we know that traditionally in Armenia and in the world, the women are keeping this knowledge and the wisdom of working with the textile and having this craft working with the textile. And this is the moment when the women can go further and take the technology and into the textile and into the things that they love to make, and to create the e-textile, the smart textile, also to create this, to work in the soft robotics. And I was thinking, I had in my mind the image of the puppets, of Armenian traditional puppets. For example, if we can make our own robots, empowering these puppets with the e-textile or with the soft robotics, and gave them the behavior using the AI tools. So it's up to us. We are the users or we are the creators.
Very fascinating.
Thank you.
Antonella, we're so lucky to have somebody working within the private sector and can practically speak about the AI within the work culture and how you are able to navigate the shift of AI impacting work culture as a woman in your field of brokerage in Europe particularly.
So we decided to implement machine learning systems about 2 years ago, and it actually created a big shift within our company because we are in the financial services and heavily regulated. If we make a mistake, if we misuse data, misappropriate data, we get heavily fined. So that was a big concern of ours at first. And another concern that I myself had at a time and that I heard again and again throughout this Congress is this idea that maybe we would create a model so good that eventually we would be made redundant and that we would lose our jobs. And I'm happy to say that after 2 years, we all still have our jobs, and implementing these systems has just allowed us to become so much more efficient at our jobs. It's allowed us to streamline data processing. It's allowed us to enhance predictive models and just save countless hours of routine work that now can be done in seconds. So although new technology can be daunting and scary, if you do it right and if you remember that AI will only ever do what you ask it to do, it can give you that edge that in this competitive markets we're all striving for.
Thank you. As a woman and as a leader in my organization, probably the biggest honor I have had is being a mentor. So, and I'm seeing a lot of nods because I'm sure that you have experienced some of the same. So, with your experience in the space of AI in mind, I would love for us to turn into very short-term mentors for the audience here today. And perhaps each of you can share a personal story or a case study, like Frances did, that will give practical advice to all of us about how we can look at entering or growing in the space as women in this new environment of AI within government, nonprofit, private sector. How can we advance into the role of leaders? How can we tap into AI? Or how can we navigate this new world? And I think I will start with you, Agnes, and come this way.
Thank you very much. So, by a personal point of view, AI is a very fashion word since a few years, and I'm used to meet a lot of people, researchers, startups, and so on. And more and more often, okay, you are CEO, but you know something about AI? Do you really understand technology? And I say, yes, it's not a problem. I'm a little old today. I don't want to fight you. And in the end of the story, one of my very oldest startups called me and said, Agnes, you forgot something. You are engineer in applied mathematics, and you are the very first publication in AI when I was at the university, and I completely forgot it. And starting this time, just in front of men talking about AI, I say, you weren't born, and I was publishing in AI, because AI started in the 50s by women. Never forget Grace Hopper. She invents COBOL and the bug. She finds the word bug. It's from a woman, Grace Hopper. So during the 50s, half of software news were from women. And it's important to remember that, because hardware started 400 years ago. The very, very prototype of a computer was built by a woman, Lady Lovelace. So never forget, as Marilyn Monroe said, if a woman wants to be equal to a man, she's just not ambitious enough.
Very empowering and very important to remember and honor this history and these stories that are not often in our history books, but are very relevant to empower women. Thank you. Leticia.
Yes, thank you so much. So my own personal story about the line of work that I do is the way that I approach it is I make it fun. I make it engaging. You know, when I'm speaking, I use so many tools that people can relate to depending on the audience. And I've spoken to a wide range of audience. I've spoken to the National Institute of Credit Administration, which is an administration that encompasses all the businesses in Nigeria that accept credit cards. So that's huge. But I was able to break it down to their level where the CEOs down to the lowest person in the organization could understand my message. I also did the same thing when I recently had a talk at the Federal Capital Territory. It was for women's affairs, and that's the other thing too I'll bring up, but don't know if we're gonna have enough time. For women's affairs, for organizations that are looking for more involvement with women, if you don't have it already within your government, and I don't know if there is one in Armenia, if there isn't, that would be my call to action for you to have or to encourage the government to create a department for women affairs. Because one of the person that's actually running this department in the Federal Capital Territory is able to bring together all the women within this particular region, and it encompassed women from all spheres of life, from the top to the very bottom. So when I went to give my talk to them, I had prepared this high-level documentation to present to them. And then when I got there and saw who I was going to be talking to, I realized that if I sent that message, I wouldn't get through. So I tossed that out. And with the use of AI, I was able to create something really fast that touched the persons from the back of the room to the front of the room. So it's the advice is to keep it engaging and make sure that there is an impact for every single person in the room.
Incredible, and I was really looking for practical advice today, and hearing about this Department of Women Affairs completely activates me, and I think Seda, who is going to be next, would make for an incredible minister for that department. So maybe we can work on that after the panel.
We don't have a department yet, but there is a group for women affairs, advisory group working with the government. So maybe we'll reach that stage at some point. Being very much inspired with examples already. One thing that I can mention from practical and like personal example very recently, last week we finished a program which we called STEM Acceleration Award. That's the first time we are doing for high school, Me Too high school girls from all over Armenia. And the whole idea was to inspire and empower them through STEAM actually. One thing that I can mention here as a very good example, that the moment that, of course, considering technology, we could not, again, skip AI, and one of the sessions was for the girls on AI. The next day, right the next day of that session, a girl came up saying, okay, as you mentioned, there are so many tools we could use. Can you advise me on a tool, an AI tool to make a presentation? Because they were getting ready for the award. So this is one very good example how at an early stage, without even any large access to AI tools and technologies, how you can just boost the usage of technology and through that empower the new generation. And one thing that I could just pass over as a piece of advice is to start early. That means early in terms of age. That's what we do when we try to empower girls and women. But I would say for everyone who is still scared about AI anyhow, how to use, how many risks, etc. Today in the morning at the session of Esther Wojcicki, there was a very good slide on screen saying, where are the banned calculators on math classes? So the moment that we, instead of banning anything, it exists, right? Let's get the most of it. Let's start utilizing it, and knowing the power of it instead of being scared.
Wonderful, thank you. Antonella, what advice do you have for all of us?
There's a case study I read earlier this year that I haven't been able to forget. And it basically concluded with the fact that men will apply to a job if they have 60% of the qualifications, and women only if they hold 100% of the qualifications.
Wow.
And when we look at the roles in AI, I think worldwide only 22% of jobs are held by women. So it is an honor to be here with all women. But if I would leave you with one thing, it's just take risks. If you have an opportunity to be at the forefront of implementing AI in your company, in your government, anywhere it is, even if you think that you don't have all the qualifications, just go for it. Take the risk, take the leap, and you never know what could happen.
Yes, that reminds me of Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In, and really leaning into the opportunity and bridging that gap between 60 and 100%. Thank you for that very eye-opening data journey. It makes us all think and dream of the possibilities, and not only dream, but take action on them. Thank you. Anushjan.
Madeleine-Jan, the advice that I can give to women working in the AI and in the leadership in AI, it would be maybe embrace these interdisciplinary collaborations. Because in my work, I realized that having many different fields that you sometimes think they are not connected to each other, when you connect them, you have these groundbreaking innovations. And don't be afraid to exploring the areas that you feel that you are not comfortable in or you are not expert. You can build your expertise through the courage and the creativity, and also to think, to work together and to be open to the experiments. And the mentorship is a very important point, to be surrounded by the right mentors, and also to be willing to discover new opportunities of learning. Because the leader is the people who is stepping first in the area, in the unknown area, and inspires the other to follow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Francis?
Well, I totally agreed with all the comments about, the opportunity for engaging AI is here and now. And that we should not be afraid. And thanks to GPT, I think in our last session that the adoption with GPT only took, ChatGPT only took 5 weeks for 50 million people to use it. And people, and there's a new career being created. People call it, for example, prompt engineering. I think a guy must came out with that term, made it very official. But prompt engineering just says that you know how to ask questions, right? And we as women, we know how to ask questions. So we should not be afraid to engage. I always say to, especially women trying to encourage them to get engaged, to study AI or to get engaged with AI, is the 3 C's. If you have the curiosity and you have the courage, and then you can collaborate, you are made for this game, so to speak. And then, Anush, you mentioned the leadership. I think it's very important to think that for the first time, this is a technology that we have to think about, that we need to master it. That the human has to come first, not technology. And that relationship is it should be top down. Otherwise, it's going to be, if it becomes bottom up, that means the AI is going to take over us. So with that, I think I have this little, what I call the 4 L's, which is, first L is you learn, right? You learn about what AI is about, and you listen to what other people, how they use that. And then you need to you need to use it. You need to, use ChatGPT or use personal AI to start or do the prompt engineering, asking questions, to live that experience. Because after you have that, then you can lead. You will be leading before you even know you're leading. And that's, I think, especially for women, sometimes who are a little shy in coming out and leading. But this technology calls for all of us to step in, to lean in, and actually be very actively demanding that our point of view is built in at the inception of this extraordinary, I think is going to be humanity-changing technology time.
Wow, Francis, I am going to add a fifth L because I love your 4 L's.
Thank you.
And I also think that loving what you do will turn that cycle around. So I'm going to petition.
It's a 4L plus. Yeah.
I'm going to petition
Plus
adding one. I also want to end by answering this question. You're seeing an incredible group of women leaders on the stage. And as a more senior person within my organization, I know that one thing that activates and gives me joy is to mentor and to lift those that are new and starting along the way. So my practical advice would be to reach out to members of this panel or to women leaders in your organization that you may respect and look up to and want to learn from, because more likely than not, those women need you as much as you need them. So there's this symbiosis of nurturing one another, bringing joy to one another, and growing together. And with this, I want to thank you for your contribution to today's discussion, for doing a little bit of mentoring on the ground, live. And I hope that you take this words of wisdom with you as you navigate the complex world of AI that also opens many opportunities for women. Thank you.
Thank you to our moderator and to our panelists for this great discussion. Recognizing the role of female leadership in AI is essential to ensuring diverse perspectives and mitigating bias. As we conclude WCIT DigiTec 2024, I must say that the discussions that we've had over the past 3 days have been incredible. We have explored AI's potential to reshape our world while also acknowledging the critical importance of its risks and ethical considerations. The discussions have highlighted the urgent need for collaboration among policymakers and industry leaders, as well as we must ensure AI is being developed and deployed in a responsible manner. Moving forward, it is important that we prioritize ethical considerations in our AI research and its development. I would like to thank you all for coming, for being here, and for being so patient with us while we dealt with our technical difficulties throughout the morning. Your presence here has been invaluable, so thank you very much. Our journey at the Neuron Hole will end here. However, we encourage you to rejoin the Quantum Hall, where the insightful discussions will continue. Thank you very much.